Okay, so welcome back for those of you who are on the comeback, and welcome to another day for those of you who've been here most of the summer. So our group has been charged with coming in and speaking to you a little bit about retention, some retention tools and resources that we can connect you with. And I wanted to give you some background on why that's important to us and what we've been doing in the past, and potentially some data that can charge us up with how it can help us with students in the future. So let's talk about retention over the years. Retention is something that we pay very close attention to. If you've worked here for any length of time, you know that we pay very close attention to this number. So the retention number that I'm showing you is based upon the IPEDS value cohort. Now what that means is a student has to be first time to college, full time in the fall term. So our most traditional type of student doesn't necessarily mean they have to be 18 years old. They could be 25 years old, but it's your first time to college. You're not a transfer student, and it's your first time to college post high school. You come in the fall and you take 12 or more credits. We measure that against ourselves, against every college in the nation, because everyone keeps track of this. And so we can measure ourselves against all kinds of different schools, different programs, and things to measure. Now, over the years, we've tracked this value, and this is the student population we should be the most successful with, arguably. I mean, as we can argue about, well, there's lots of other students we could be tracking, and you're right, and we do. There's lots of other students that we do track for other reasons that are in certain programs. But this is a measurable cohort that is consistent over time, and arguably the resources that we put out there, this should be our biggest success story out there. And all the efforts that we do put out there should then expand upon to the rest of the population, but we can measure whether it's working or not based upon this. Now, something that happened in the 2021 cohort. So 2021 cohort measurement means they started in fall of 2021, and we measured that they came back in fall of 2022. So that would have been last year's data. Currently, we're working on the 2022 cohort, retaining the 2023. Last year, it was our best retention score or rate to date. So that was a very phenomenal score.
Yay!
And you can see sort of a, kind of a long trend of just kind of working on things and working that trend up, and then just posting just an absolutely phenomenal score with that 64%. Now, retention leads to completion, because if we can keep somebody around, that leads to completion, it leads to their success. And as you may be aware or may not be aware, completion is something we pay very close attention to against that same cohort model that we measured. And back in 2010, so the cohort who began in 2010, giving them 3 years to complete a degree within time, we had a graduation rate of 2%. That was like the worst possible score that a college could potentially ever post. This year, the numbers are just coming in, and it's going to be posted in December. But I'm anticipating that this year we will post a graduation rate of 37% for this year's cohort. So, paying attention to that retention builds this pattern to completion, which builds to a lot of student success. And so that's sort of why we want to talk about retention and that build over time. So, what does this scenario potentially look like? The perfect scenario, first absolutely perfect scenario for a fall term. Every student who would come to us in fall, right out of high school, or post high school, but first time to college, would come in the fall term, and they fit absolutely perfect into that degree map, right? They take 12 credits or more, and they take it in fall, and they come back in winter, and guess what? Every one of them comes back at 100%, and they're still going full time, and they carry on to spring. Maybe we get a few people in summer that come forward, and everybody comes back in fall term, and winter and spring, and maybe a few finish in summer, and everybody's done in 2 years. That's the perfect scenario, right? We know, and that's how the degree maps are built. And we have to build them that way because that's how we have to anticipate, and then we work against that. But let's talk about what the reality of what happens at KCC. So this is our actual KCC data for fall of 2021. We started off with 138 full-time, first-time to college students that were degree seeking. What happens as we go to winter? We go to winter, and what we will find is 12 of those students switched to part-time, and 17% of those students did not return. These are our potential one and doners, right? Came, tried school, didn't work, maybe something happened. But when we go to spring term, what we see then is 82% of the students, 60% fit that perfect scenario. And some have switched to part-time, and some that made it 2 terms didn't make it to the 3rd term. And we end up with 23% of the original cohort missing in spring term. And so this is our best year ever. This is the model for the 64% retention rate. We've never had numbers this good. We look at this chart annually, and it's never looked this good. It still has room for improvement. And so that's why I want you to visualize it this way. So the white space is bad. The yellowish tone is good. The teal is better than nothing, but we would wish that they were all in that perfect scenario. So in summer term, what we find is some people come back, and that's pretty typical. No surprises here that summer would be that. And then when we switch to fall, this is where kind of the wheels come off the bus, so to speak. And so we end up with sort of 3 scenarios. We end up with 43% of the original cohort fitting that perfect mold. And so not quite half fitting that perfect mold going across. We end up with the number that didn't retain from spring. Now some of those students may have transferred, but it's not because they really completed, because if they're here for a 2-year degree, they didn't earn a 2-year degree in 1 year. Because remember, these are not transfer-in students. These are first-time to college post-high school students. So they're not really completers at that point. They might have got a 1-year certificate or some pathways, but they did not earn an associate's in that 1 year. And so I like to look at this as kind of the small leak, medium leak, and the big leak. And what I want to focus on is that big leak. And what's important about that big leak is if we look at this number down in here, that was that 17% that happened right off the bat in that first term. So I'm kind of focusing on this white area right down here. I'm calling that the big leak. So that's a student who came in for 1 term in fall and didn't make it back, or maybe sort of came back in that spring, but then we didn't do so great continuing with them after that. That leak did not happen on the 11th week. When that student didn't come back for winter term, it wasn't because all of a sudden on the 11th week it's like it didn't work out. And if you've been in the classroom, if you've worked around students, you know that's not when it happened. It might have happened in the 2nd week, it might have happened in the 4th week, it might have happened in the 5th week, but we all know it didn't happen in week 11. So it isn't like we need to post grades and then figure out what to do on how to get them to come back. We need to figure out how to connect those students to resources early, and that's really what this is all about. This presentation is, what are the resources that we have on campus? How can we identify those resources and identify the students in need early so we can connect and work on that big leak right there. Now this is the cohort model, but this rolls out to everybody. It isn't just the cohort that this impacts. We're not focusing just on the 138 students who are in the cohort. We're still talking about everybody. Early on, can we identify early on what is the resource that this student needs and connect them with the appropriate resource that we have on campus so that we can find them the resource that's going to make them successful, that brings them to retention, which is good for the campus, which then leads them to completion, which is good for the student. And so that's really why we're here today, to talk about where this is going and focus on that big leak. If we can get that under control, the medium leaks and the small leak kind of take care of themselves. So that's why we're here today. I'm going to turn it over to Oscar to talk about early alerts.
Thank you, Bill. It's hard to follow Bill because he has so many good things to say. I just want to talk a little bit about early alert, but before I talk about that, I do want to make a quick mention about sometimes you get a student that you're like, oh, I don't know where this student came from, or I hadn't seen him in a couple terms, or maybe one term, and all of a sudden they're back to you. There is a group of us that are in the background, especially those iPad students. We have a list, and we're like, this student has been gone for a term or 2 terms. And we're like calling them and literally almost knocking on their door like, you want to come finish, please? I mean, we don't say it like that, but we really try to encourage them to come back. So if you see a student all of a sudden that you're like, I thought this person moved or they were gone, or I thought their dog died and that's why they stepped out, we already had a conversation like, we really need you to come and finish this degree. Not for our numbers, but really because they're so close to getting it. So that is like a mini little thing that happens in student services where we really try to contact the iPad cohort people. Our early alerts, so everybody loves early alerts. I know you guys all love them. And how many of you guys never heard of early alerts? I'm sure there's new people, so go. Okay. Okay. Well, early alerts, so what is it? So we like acronyms. So NRC is our new group that Bill and I are forming, our new boy band. What is our goal? We want to see the need. So we want to identify what the need of the students are, their early alerts. We identify what the need is so we can address it. And we want to do the resource. So identify the resource that we have to help the student. But we want to do the right resource and the correct resource. Then the last thing is to connect the student to those resources directly. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that itself. So we have an early alert. It's any staff and faculty can submit an early alert using my KCC. If you don't know, I know you guys will probably delete this email. They've been here for a long time, but I'll send you the links on how to do it. And some of you guys may be like, I already know how it is. That's great, but maybe somebody new. So I'll send you so you can follow the video. It's greatly done. I think Edith helped us out with this video. So there's different types of concern. I'm not going to read through all of them, but everything from academic, behavioral, financial, not showing up to class. And then below you see that there's a severity, high, moderate, low, or unsure. When you tag those things, those are really important for us. So we can look at that and say, okay, how do we connect this person with the right resource? And how do we connect them the proper way with the right resource on there? So what happens after you submit an early alert? Just remember that everything you write on there, it is the student will see, we will see, and you will see. So I don't have to give you examples because then I get carried away with examples. But just be professional and put what your concern is. We don't want to say John is an idiot and that kind of stuff, right? We want to make sure it's something helpful for the student and something helpful for us. But we're on record. KCC as a team, yes, Mr. Tom Edgley.
Didn't mean to interrupt the flow of your sentence.
I know, I'm getting nervous.
When we write the message and submit it, do you know if the student gets it as a text message or an email?
You get an email.
So it'll show up on their mobile device, out of the blue.
If they have it set up on their mobile device for alert, if they come to the phone, it'll show up as an email. It's just an early alert email.
Right. So the way we write it really matters.
Yes. Yes.
Does it filter through you first, or is it when we submit that early alert that goes right to the student?
Yeah, it goes to a few different people. So once you type in what you type, and you hit submit, it's live. I can't go and edit and be like, oh, I know Jason didn't need that. He was just really not focused or whatever, right? It's done when you submit.
Now, is there an early alert that doesn't go to the student? I thought there was one of the options on that, the behavioral thing, or one option that doesn't go directly to the student.
I don't think we have one set up like that it just it goes directly to it. I think some of those go more maybe through an email process, that's really kind of the way we would go about that one. But I don't think this one have a specific one that goes to that.
So what we write can be either devastating and
they can ask for those records anytime.
but we could actually drive them away.
We could.
Unintentionally by the way we write that message.
We could.
Or we could be encouraging them, the student I want to help. I'm
Right.
concerned. I'm worried.
Right.
Don't want to lose them.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think, the biggest goal is that we work as a team, right? Like, you submit the concern, you trust that we're gonna do something about that concern, and we're gonna have some intervention to try to, work together, and that student at the end realizes, Tom said that I was struggling with this, and maybe at that moment they don't see that you're trying to help, right? They're like, what's he talking about? But then we connect with them, and then we follow up, and then they're like, oh wow, thanks Tom for letting someone know, because they reached out to me and I was able to connect with someone. So that would be like the dream come true. So
Oscar, I think there was a question.
Yes.
Dr. Bill.
Yeah, Oscar, I was wondering, I kind of piggybacking off what Tom was asking, I actually didn't realize they went directly to the student. Because I have the same concern Tom has about, I guess, a message going to the student without the student really kind of, I don't know, I guess I was kind of unsure how that looks, because the form has multiple places you can enter information. How do you know what section the student sees?
Well, so they get an alert, like, the title would be academic missing class and assignments, right? And then in that, your notes that you typed in is what they're going to see. So that's the two main things that they see on that early alert.
Okay. Okay.
But I can show you the video, so we can definitely, like, you
Yeah.
can tell me where you might think.
Yeah, I was just kind of wrapping my head, because I'm kind of in the same boat as Tom in my concern, because usually I want to give a little bit more detail to the people behind the scenes than I want to actually have the students see to kind of help with. Sometimes there's issues with other students and, so I guess I'm kind of more concerned about, like you said, not driving them away, but like doing it in a way that will help them persist.
Yes,
So
and
maybe, yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of trying to,
no, that's a great observation. And I think the cool thing about early alerts is we can modify as we go a little bit. And so I think if that's something that is, something that we run to have a conversation about, we can this list we can modify, we can try to change something. I think, we just want to be transparent, and students have the right to get their, the notes that we're sharing amongst them. But I totally see the value of perhaps there's a group of things that are going on, and we don't necessarily want to discuss all the other groups with that student. So I think that's something that we can definitely have a meeting and discuss how we can best write that down that makes sense for us internally and the benefit to the student of doing it that way. So yeah, just know that there's flexibility that we could do it that way. Right now, even on this, as you guys see the types of concerns, you might be new and you go, no, none of those fit what I need. Well, that's a good note to have, because that's something that we can address and say, you know what, we should probably put a note for that. So we're getting a lot of different, like others, and we're not getting, specific reasoning why, that we should probably have a meeting and be like, what's the other reason? Because we want to be more proactive with the early alerts and use it as a pre-retention service, not a afterwards. So of course, if you see something or something's not there that you're constantly using, and you're like, why is this option not there? Then let us know, because we can definitely find out and try to add it on there. So that's a great question. I think it's worth just kind of having a conversation about that too.
Oscar, I think we have a question over here.
Yeah.
I
I forgot there's that side of the room.
Monica's concern, there's the concern form on the website that could be used, and that's private, and that's a different process if you wanna keep something really private and there's something going on. There's that concern form on the KCC website you would use instead of anything under over.
Sure.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, that's thank you, and I think I was just on the earlier connection, but there's no concern to that. That does go private, so.
but doesn't the concern go to Josh Guest?
Goes to Josh, and I think VP Shoal as well.
Oh, okay.
So it goes to us.
So this different, okay.
Yeah, so it goes to both of them, and then
Well, that's part of today is getting to know direct service providers that you can make that direct connection with the student and the direct service that they use too. So we'll talk about that.
awesome, great question, right? I would be, curious to maybe explore different options on that too. So what's the early alert? Like I said, everything's there as a team. We're on record of what we write on there. The follow-up notification. So here's kind of where we added a little bit of a twist on this. So as we know, you submit an early alert, and the LRC director, Rick Ball, he'll send an email letting the students know all the resources that we have, right? Like boom, 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 boom. And then Janelle in the front desk also calls the student and goes, hey, have you done this? Have you met with the tutor? Have you done all these things? And that happens. But really, we want to be more intentional about that effort. So we're going to have a small, when I mean small, it's like 2 or 3 people, that we're going to try to actually filter those early alerts and be more intentional about what we're doing. So if you do submit something, like the one of them said financial, right? That you have a general concern about that. It might be housing, it might be food insecurities, it might be something like that. Well, we're not going to have a tutor call that person because it's not an academic issue, right? But as you guys will get to know our benefit navigator, Lalo, he's going to be part of this where he can help filter, and then he makes the call because, hey, we're identifying there's something else that it's beyond academics that we can help you. We're going to filter him to Steve as well to make sure that she's able to, get those refers to that area as well. So we don't just send the same message for all these multiple different. So there's an academic, and then the other part, if it's an academic, speaking with Rick Ball earlier this week, or last week, was having the tutors call the student. So just kind of changing the dynamic there. So instead of just getting that email, we have the tutor call and be like, hey, I'm the math tutor at KCC, Lacey, and I realize that you might be struggling in math. When can I meet with you? Here's my hours at the LRC. I'd love to meet with you, right? So I think being more proactive about having those tutors call rather than just asking them, go see a tutor. Now we're making it more personal. We're kind of building that connection with that. Same with our benefit navigator, and same when we refer them to see. So trust in the process. I know that sometimes it's like, well, we submitted and I don't know what happens. We will do better on putting case notes on there so you know actually what happened. And then at the same time, when Janelle calls back, now we have a full wrap around like, did a tutor call you? Yes, the tutor called me. Cool. Did you make a game plan? Did you go see this person? And now we can close it and say, yes, we closed it and the student continued and was successful, or we just closed it and the student dropped out. That gives us a little bit more data and to figure out if this is working or not. If the data shows that we're closing early alert, but nobody's continuing, then we probably should regroup and say, okay, what are we doing? Because this is a lot of efforts to just not make a dent, right? But I think it is, we just want to capture some more data. So we were going to do a better job on case noting, and like I said, we'll give more access to a few more people to be able to divert and to be able to streamline different refers to other people. So it's not just kind of the same message all the time. So I know that it can be time consuming, but it does affect, as Bill started, it does affect retention in a positive way. And like I said, we want to be more proactive. And this is one of the tools that we really, really want to use to be early indicators, to get in front of the students, to connect with them, to call them, and just provide wraparound service. As you'll find out today, you'll see a lot of different resources that we'll be talking about. Some of them you'll be like, oh yeah, I knew that. Some of them you'll be like, I have no idea who that person is. But just know that we are trying to connect everybody on there. So again, NRC, we need to identify the need, find the resource, and then the connection. So we want to make sure we're connected. So my last thing, because I'm long-winded all the time, it's called an early alert, and it's not a late alert. So the sooner that we connect, the more likely we will provide the help in real time. So I know you guys are busy and you guys do great work. Yes?
Quick question. And this came up this summer. I had a faculty member who had a student who missed an important assignment, really affected their grade. They connected with the student, they came up with a game plan, and everybody was on the same page. The faculty then said to me, so should I do an early alert? I mean, because she felt like she had identified the need, figured out what resources the person needed, which was just a little kick in the pants,
Yeah.
and holding their feet to the fire, and the situation was resolved.
Right.
Would you recommend that they send an early alert at the same time?
That is
Or
a
what would
great
you-
question, and I appreciate that question. I think if I was that faculty, I probably would still send an early alert as a backup, knowing that somebody's going to call them.
Okay.
And if they write in very briefly the game plan, we could call with more intention and be like, hey, I know you met with Allison and you guys had a game plan. How's that going? Is that working for you? And she might be like, yes, I learned my lesson, Or she might be like, well, it's like, hey, it looks like you have a game plan. What else do you need? So I would encourage that we can be your third backup or fourth backup or whatever else you need. You let the early alerts team kind of reinforce what you already did. So that would be great.
When during the term do you put in an early alert?
Well, as early as you can.
Right,
But I mean, the first week, obviously, we know there's those no-shows. So those would be important to know right away. Within the second week, once you start going into the actual context of the class and all that stuff, you'll start identifying if there's gaps, if they're missing the first assignments, so all that stuff is the earlier. I would say within the first week is the no-show. Second week, we should
But
start
that
the
could be
earlier.
done anytime during the term.
They could, but sometimes when they come in late, then there's not much we can do other than the last day to withdrawal is on the 8th Friday of the term, and I mean that's a solution, but that's not the best solution. We would like to really convert this into something that we have positive outcomes by saying we met you, we intervened with you, and you will successfully continue. So, awesome, great questions. You're gonna find out a lot of cool things that all these people do. So if you don't have any questions for me, I will pass it on to Rick Ball.
All right,
Tag, you're in.
thank you. So just to follow up a little bit with what Oscar was saying, when I get an early alert, I send out a tutoring letter when it's an academic. My suggestion is for all new instructors who haven't been through this process before, the more you enter grades, the sooner you're gonna see when students are starting to go into the C minus, D plus territory, that's when you send in the alert. When you see students getting a D, send in the alert, don't wait. And I've noticed we have more success if you're entering grades every week, because then 4 or 5 weeks don't go by and you've already missed an opportunity because you didn't notice until just before midterms that the student's doing poorly. So I've found that the instructors who enter grades weekly, usually we have a better chance of catching those students in need. So my name is Rick Ball, I'm the LRC director. I am tasked with the Library Tutoring Center and Testing Center. For those of you who don't know, our tutoring center, I'll start off with the easy one, provides supplemental instruction for every class that's taught on campus. And we're going to be open from 8 o'clock to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday this fall. And we also have tutorme.com for after hours tutoring. And you can get any kind of tutor that your students need at tutorme.com. And tutorme.com is available through your Canvas courses. And you'll see it on, I think, the left-hand side. And students click on it, it's free to the students, and they get 3 hours a week for outside tutoring services. The library is a great resource for your students who have to do research if they need study materials. We have thousands and thousands of subjects, databases, ebooks. We have a 24-seat computer lab with a teaching station and smart board like this that you can use for a classroom if you get bumped or you need an extra classroom. Our testing center, we do assessment testing for all of the students. For example, my math test. That's how we assess where to place new students in math. The My Math test gives them 16 weeks of a practice format. So they can work with tutors, they can work with an instructor, they can do that. I think we used to call it Math 52 was the class. I believe. Yeah. And so, those are the type of resources that we provide. Oh, I forgot all my slides. So I just started talking. So the library is in Building 9, and so is the tutoring center, top floor of Building 9. That's the big tall one over there. For those of you who are new, the testing center is in Building 3. It's a smaller building. It's where you see the sheriff's logo. Testing center is in there. And like I said, the library is going to be open 8 to 6. The tutoring center is going to be open 8 to 6. And the testing center is going to be open 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. And the reason we're having the testing center open that long is because we found that when instructors need more class time for teaching, it's more beneficial for them to send their students to the testing center to take exams. So you're not spending that time in the classroom with an exam. Send them to us, we'll take care of it, it gives you extra time to teach. Oh, and there's our librarian, Maribel, if you want to stand up. Yay, Maribel. So, she's your go-to person if you need curriculum supports, books, whatever kind of materials you need from the library. She's your go-to person. She creates this thing called Lit Guides. It has a ton of resources
And she's really good about working with faculty. So if you need anything, any kind of supports from the library, get with Maribel and she'll help you. And Barbara Dalkey, she's our testing center manager. Barb, you want to stand up? No, you got to stand. She can answer any testing questions that you might have. We also have a service called Proctor 360 for those of you who don't know about it. It's where we mail out headsets to distance ed students so they can test from home. We're hoping that by being open until 8 o'clock at night, we'll get more testers actually coming on campus, but we do have the ability to mail out headsets so they can test from home, or, you know, if they're out of the county. Tutoring center, I already talked about that. Okay, so my other role is student conduct officer. As student conduct officer, I deal with student-to-student issues. So if you have students in your classroom, they're not getting along, they're being disruptive, something like that, let me know. There's a form that you fill out on the front page of the KCC website. It says concern in the upper right. You can click on that, fill it out. It'll go to VP Scholl and our legal counsel, and then it gets filtered down to the proper channels. If it's a student conduct issue, it goes to me, and then I take care of it. If you have any questions about what is the student conduct issue, call me up and ask me. It's that easy. And that is it. So,
We get a quick
question? Yes.
On the tutor me, is that what you said,
Yeah.
that 24/7, is that inclusive of our CTE programs as well?
They have tutors for everything under the sun. It's amazing the variety that they have.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
So, yeah. So, and yes.
I have a question for you or Oscar. When the early alerts go out and we don't get replies from the students and they still don't, especially online classes, and they don't come back, should we do another early alert, say please withdraw from the class, or how does that work?
So I've seen it. So what happens, like with my part of it, what I see is an instructor will submit an early alert. If it's academic, it goes to me. Then I send them a tutoring letter. Oh, hey, by the way, we have tutors that can help you. And then I do a follow-up, and then Janelle will do a follow-up. She'll call, whatever. And the thing that Oscar and I were talking about that he mentioned, I'm also going to have this tutor start calling them too. A lot of times, students will just not respond. And so one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to start tracking the students who use the tutoring center. We're going to start tracking, how did you hear about us? Was it through an early alert? Was it through a friend? Was it, so we can have some data to back up, some of these questions. Because we have had questions like, are the letters we're sending out effective? And so we need to start tracking. And so that's what we're doing.
So should we do a second early alert for these students though?
If it's been a couple weeks and you haven't seen the student, yeah. If especially if they're getting a D. Yeah. George.
So the letters that are sent out, they're mailed out?
No,
Is that-
it's through email.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a.
And it's, how quickly did those happen once an early alert is?
I get them out to the student within 24 hours, even on weekends.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, TutorMe seems to only function on laptop or desktop site. What does that?
Oh, yeah, so TutorMe is not ideal for telephones. So students who want to use telephones, you might want to,
But what if that's all they've got, their technology?
then they can come to the library, they can come to the tutoring center. We have student use computers all over campus.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's
We also
hard to do
have,
if
so if
they're
you go to the tutoring, they're updating the web page for the tutors, they have Zoom links.
Oh, yeah.
And so they can actually Zoom with the tutor, they don't have to come into campus, they could use Zoom on their phone too. The other thing I wanna encourage is faculty know that you can hire TAs to support your classes, and some of the faculty are using TAs to do office hours and do tutorials with their student in real time. So I encourage that to happen. If you wanna hire a tutor, or a TA, then you need to go through the Career Service Center. There's a process for that, but it's worked very well. Mary Lou?
Well, just, since technology was brought up, for the last few years, IS has been able to provide refurbished computers. Is that gonna be something that can happen again? Does anybody know, or?
Yes, that's still active, and I'll talk about that a little bit.
Yes, Rick.
Yeah.
Over here.
I provide PC support for students. I'll get to that once I present, but if you refer students to me that needs a computer or desktop, they set them with me and I'll start the process with that. Same with hotspots.
Any other questions? Yes.
It sounds like maybe this is the direction that it's heading in. And as an instructor, one of the things that I'd like to see when it comes to early alerts and tutoring is just a little bit of awareness of, like, are my students going to the tutoring center? What have they responded to an early alert? A lot of times with the early alerts, I submit one, and then some time goes by, and I get an email that asks if I want to close it or not. And I haven't seen a lot of changes in the student. I have no idea what's happened between the student and other resources.
Sure.
Same with when I tell a student, hey, you benefit from going to the tutor. A lot of times I don't know if that student has gone. Is there a possibility for us for that part of the process to be more transparent towards faculty, like we get an email if a student goes to the
Well, I think if I'm not mistaken, because I can see all of the interactions, I think you should be able to see them too.
Where would I see them?
It's on SharePoint, under retention, early alerts. And I can send a link to you.
Okay.
Because I can see all of the interactions that were done and by who and when.
All right. Maybe that's I just don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to.
Okay.
So,
I just had a comment I wanted to make real quick. You mentioned Maribel.
uh,
I utilized her twice this year in the classroom, and she has a wonderful presentation on showing students how to do research in the library. So if no one else has used her, would like to, she does a wonderful job, so. Thank you.
Check out a librarian to come to your class.
Yes.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
Okay.
Comments? No? Okay.
Thank you.
Turn it over to.
Okay, so it's my privilege to introduce our counselors, our mental health counselors, Julia Pena and Steve Ware. We have two full-time people available to support our students. It's pretty amazing opportunities and resource. So they're going to share about their services, but they're here to support you and your students. Please utilize these services and welcome and thank you for participating.
So good morning. Yes, my name is Steve Ware. I'm a counselor. I've been working in the business, since 1998. So yes, I'm old. I always tell my clients, like, yes, I'm old. Because I've actually been working in behavioral health since 1988 when I got my bachelor's. So I've been working for Klamath Basic Behavioral Health now 7.5 years. I've done sort of various different roles. I've done outpatient, ran the crisis team for about 5.5 years, and then for the last year I've been working for School of Mental Health. It's kind of funny, Denise has done such a great job here that they had to hire two of us, so we have really big shoes to fill. So I don't know if you want to introduce yourself a little bit.
Yes, so I'm Budia. I have been with KBH for 2 years, but I've always worked with social services, and I've always loved mental health, so I had to come back to where my heart is. And I used to work with Steve when he was in crisis, and he's always been great. So it was an honor coming back to work with him.
Well, thank you. Okay, let's see if I can make this work. So what we're going to do in like 5 minutes or less is talk about mental health services here at KCC, why they're needed, how we made access made easy here, some awareness around statistics, and then where we're headed, what our goals for this year are, okay? So here we go, yeah, it's on you. Oh, no, it's on me, actually. I got one more. Okay, so as you know, a recent study found that 1 in 3 college students experience significant depression or anxiety. Go figure. Testing, getting, working, especially for, our non-traditional students here. might have a job, might have failed high school and now they're trying to do college. So it all kind of makes sense. 14% they say they dropped out because of mental health. Again, it's kind of like, really? That's pretty reasonable to think. Up to 44% of college students reported having symptoms of depression and anxiety. Sometimes, again, this is all situational. You might have students that have moved away from home. They might have gotten kicked out of their house or something because they're now 18, 19, and they're trying to figure out what am I going to do with my life, right? So there's some other statistics there. So it's very important that if you start noticing, or if you're having a student that is talking to you about, gee gosh, I'm feeling down, I'm feeling nervous, I panic around testing, their mood is variable in class, hey, take that moment, maybe reach out and talk to them, okay? One thing I'll throw in there is, oh gosh, the acronym just ran out of my head. I'll come back to it. I'll think when I have a minute to think for a second. I'll get back to it. There's some. What I'd like you to know is resources besides us. If you have a crisis going on even in your own life or in the classroom, I would utilize 988. It's now this national system. We're trying to build it to be just like 911, where these days you dial 911, you get law enforcement dispatch, and you have a law enforcement officer or ambulance or something like that. We're trying to develop a national hotline that's the same thing using 988. Okay, it goes to a call center in the Portland area. They handle the call, it goes directly back to us if we need to our agency here at KBBH if we need to do a response. Okay, you can always call KBBH directly at the 541-883-1030 number. And talk to crisis then, but if your 10 numbers is kind of hard to remember, 3 numbers is very easy, 988, okay? So just know that, and also make sure that your students know that, okay? So Julia, you want to talk a little bit about what the things that you do?
So the referral process, I can take a referral from any one of you. Once I get it, I am able to do an intake with the students, see what their needs and interests are when it comes to our services. I would then do the screening process, hook them up with Steve, who would be the therapist on campus. If there is a reason why the person, like maybe knows Steve, doesn't want to work with Steve, we are able to connect them with somebody in our office on El Dorado. We are able to, if they get into a little bit of trouble, like maybe a DUI, we are also able to work closely with our SEDS team to get them referred there, or if they are in need of medication, we can also do that referral to them.
Do you want to also talk a little bit about OHP?
Yes, and I am also able to help anybody with OHP, or if they need, if they have private insurance, we can apply for OHP as a secondary and get them an answer sooner than later. Yes.
Did you say you help out with people that get DUIs?
Yeah, so if they just say on the weekend a student gets into some trouble, gets a DUI, and now they're gonna be court ordered to do treatment. We are able to do that referral with our SEDS team, and we can even start it before they go to court, so that when they do show up to court, they can say, I've already engaged, or I'm engaging, I have an appointment, here's who I'm gonna be seeing.
It wouldn't be us directly, it would be an access point.
Yes, we would.
Because as you can see here on this one, these are all the services that KBBH provides. So we're, Julia, not so much me, Julia is an access point to all those services. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm curious if we are preferring faculty, if they have a concern with a student, to submit that concern through the concern system so that they are on the radar of our care team versus a direct referral to you.
This is what I would encourage, that if you were having a conversation with a student and they're admitting that, gee gosh, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, that, worried, whatever that might be, offer us up. Say, hey, we've got this service here on campus, I'd like you to, maybe consider that. Is it okay if I send them your name? Just become that open about it and say, I'm really worried, so I'm gonna go ahead and send them your name. and they'll reach out to you. And it doesn't mean you have to engage in services. I just want you to have a chance to.
So you want us to refer the student directly to you rather than our care concern team?
Well, and that would be one thing, the care, using your, the early alert system, saying, hey, I'm gonna send this early alert, and this is why. And
So I mean, we do have early alert, but we also have a care concern team,
which is kind of like.
right? And that's more confidential, the care, right? Because the student's gonna get the early alert, whereas the care team, the submitting a concern, that way it's confidential.
So,
And it's, and I think you're part of that team, so I think that they come to you that way as well as.
I think if you're having an issue of like risk, threat, something like that, definitely go through the concern, through that process. But if you're more worried just about, hey, it looks like you're panicking about tests, and so you're down, that it's not safety concern, then it would just be directly to us, okay? Gradient there, if you're like, oh shoot, I'm really scared, then do the concern. Okay? Because in that way you're alerting your administrators to that. There's also a training, if you can look it up, it's free. Most places it's free. It's called QRP, which is question, refer, persuade. It's for lay people to know how to ask those questions when somebody says that they're suicidal, okay? Or they make a statement, oh gee, gosh, I just killed myself. Whoa, wait a minute, let's talk about that, okay? And it's a very simple process to be able, it gives lay people some definite skills on ways to talk about that with them. And so I would encourage you to look it up, QRP. It's free for the most part. I think our agency will try to put these trainings on here and there. So just look out for that kind of, if you want some skill-based type education around how to ask those questions, that's a great resource to look out for, okay?
I think Kelly Kendra had a question.
Yes.
I work with high school students, and what I've been doing in the past is if I have a student with their parent, most of the time they're always there with advising, that have a lot of anxiety through testing, or dyslexia, things like that, and I usually send them to Italy.
Okay.
For support there.
Sure.
Is there something special that I should know? Because I know Italy works with the instructors, and so if they have testing anxiety, maybe there's a way that they can take a test in an atmosphere that they feel more comfortable. But is there something different that I should be aware of or do, or certain situations?
I think if I'm kind of getting what you're saying is that sometimes students just have a hard time taking tests, and they get anxious about it, and so maybe it's learning how to do testing better and some skill-based kind of things. So maybe there's another staff here that does that. And what would be the difference for, say, our services? I would think about, okay, are they talking about how it's impacting the rest of their life? I'm not attending school, I'm having a hard time getting to school, I'm overwhelmed with pain. I don't know, if they kind of like start talking about more globally, like farther out in their life, they're feeling down and sad, as well as struggling with that, then I would maybe encourage it, get us involved. Okay.
And to add on to Steve's, I can also work closely with Italy, like if she is offering certain services for them or advocating in certain ways in the classroom, then I can still come in and work on different skills.
Yeah.
And just see what works for that student.
Yeah.
And what would, just try different things. Sometimes they're like, that doesn't work, and that's fine. But trying different things as to how can we get better so that as you go on, that testing anxiety will be less because you'll have tools in your belt to be able to work through this.
Now, does she normally do that? So if I send a high school student to Italy, if she sees a direction as referral, if she did a referral to you and bring you in, is she doing that?
Yes, I haven't yet because I just started here, but I did be with her yesterday briefly.
Okay.
So I'll be able to connect with her and go over this.
Okay.
So the intent here by having myself and Julia is that she will be more skills focused. So like teaching people how to meditate, how to manage their emotions, decision making, kind of just basic skill type focus. Where The therapist here is more focused on trauma, how to manage depression, talk therapy, kinds of things. And so there's just kind of different skill sets and focus. So the idea is that as this person, as I get busy, then I have somebody else to help me out, you know, because from what I understand from Denise last year, she got quite busy, and there would have been a lot of need for us to maybe, so that we can have weekly contact. Basically, if we're working together, I can only maybe see somebody like once or twice a month. She can see them every day or every week.
Now, do you both have offices here, and when you're?
I'm up on Founders Hall, 9, next near Bill's office.
Okay.
And I believe you're going to be in the testing center.
Okay, and the hours are posted?
8 to 5.
8 to 5, okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So just so I got to get moving here. So our goals for this year are to increase access to services for underserved populations. So as many as we can to identify them. Julia is fluent in Spanish, so she can, for the non-traditional student or underserved student that speaks Spanish only, she can help provide services that way. Yes, sir.
Steve and when collaborative.
Just refer to, the best thing is just to refer to Julia, because she's my gatekeeper.
Okay.
But if you want me to know about it, please send it me too. But Julia is our gatekeeper. So
thank you.
She does all the screenings, intakes, and will let me know what's going on. So also we want to, again, increase access for non-traditional students. We want to make it easy for people to get into services here. By being here on campus, we want to be available to them where they're at. So that's our goal. So I'm not going to cover those. Here are our emails and addresses and phone numbers, I should say, email addresses and phone numbers. Those phone numbers are both good, 8 to 5. Don't hesitate to give it to a student. It's their cell phone, so they can text us if they feel uncomfortable reaching out to us by voice. Again, letting them know that qualifying it, these are 8 to 5 numbers, so they're not a crisis number if you're giving it to the student. So, any other questions?
It's helpful if we could get some business cards.
Yes, ma'am. They're getting printed.
Oh, good. No, if some could get in the boxes of
Yes, ma'am.
direct faculty, that would be great.
Yes.
Because I keep them in my briefcase, and when a student needs it, it's really helpful.
Okay, we'll get some crisis cards, just some generic crisis cards. Yes, ma'am. I'll come back over here.
I just want to know, what's your guys' turnaround on a referral? So if we send you a referral, will we get back with them within a couple of days, a week?
Yeah, so I'm able to get, when I get the referral, I try to reach out right the same day. Whether it's, hey, I'm introducing myself, what's a good time to meet with you? So on the same day, I maybe set an appointment for that week. Do the initial process of it, and then I have to see what the schedule of the therapist is to get them in one of the slots.
Yeah. Right now, we're pretty light, so it would be, as far as like my caseload and number of appointments that I have in a week, it'd be really easy to get somebody turned around. I mean, I had a guy walk in 3 weeks ago, I get 50 intakes on the next day. So it's, right now, that's kind of where it's at. But as, this is the first year here, so I don't know how crazy it gets, after the 25th, but if it gets really busy, then it might take a few more days. But I'm usually pretty good about getting people in right away.
Well, because I'd like to follow up also after that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for the initial, just outreach, it probably would be on the same day I get the referral.
Yeah. You know, stuff, yes, ma'am.
For the skills building, are you able to open any kind of like open group sessions, or is it specifically one-to-one?
Right now it's gonna be one-on-one person, but I did have conversations with Denise, and I was willing to hold groups. We just want to get more clientele and see what their needs are. I am also gonna attend some of the classes, like the student orientation, the GED classes, and just do a short presentation there for those incoming students.
Okay, if we have a class where we would want you to present, is that an option?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No worries. Okay, anything else? All right, thank you guys.
Okay, thank you. Maribel's making a library guide that has all these different presenters with their contact information. You also get a copy of the PowerPoint. And then we're trying to update all the web content so we have direct contact information for all our service providers. So you will, and then I like the idea of the business cards. We'll have to figure out a way to have them maybe in the staff rooms. So if you need one, you could grab one. So instead of putting so many in everybody's box. Yes?
So I can just share that the conversation happening at the nursing table is perhaps including it in their syllabi as far as mental health well-being statement, and that we care about people's mental health, and then here's your contacts. I know not everybody's students read their syllabi, but nursing students, that's their Bible, and so they do, but we're just having that conversation. I don't think there's anything that would prevent you from doing that.
Okay. Well, and I kind of, the takeaway I heard was try to empower the student to make that step, but do a support case. So do an early alert, do a CARES alert. It doesn't hurt to do multiple measures to make sure the students get the services they're needing. Okay, we're going to talk about tech support, and we have some great technology support on campus for our students, and Dale's going to talk about that. That's not Dale. No, we can talk about that. Yeah, Bill's in my building too.
All right, I'm Bill Rolfe, I'm the help desk manager. We're located just halfway down this hall. I believe most of you know where we're at. But we are here for the students to help them. I know it was already brought up earlier about desktops and hotspots. That is still active. Any of you can submit that if you have a student in need of a computer or a hotspot. You can either send an email right to Paul Breedlove, or you can just make a support ticket. It'll get to them the same way. It doesn't, you don't have to be their advisor, it can be any instructor or anything like that. If you just know that they're in need, feel free to do that. Same with the hotspots, we still have that program going. As long as they're a student and we still have funding, we will get a hotspot ordered for them. Those take a little longer than the desktops, just because they have to order them in and make sure they're active and everything like that. But definitely a service that we still have going for them. Our main thing is to help them be successful, whether they can't figure out how to log in, they don't have Office, help them, show them how to get Office installed on their computers or do it for them. We've even helped with some tutoring things if we're good in Excel and they're having questions, we try to help them out however which way we can. So that's our main focus. We are here Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. till 8 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 to 2. Saturdays not always in the office, and in between terms we're kind of all over the place, but we do have a full crew. I have myself and we have 7 student workers. So we try to make sure we can be available to help all the students with their needs. We help out in your classrooms also, so like if your instructor station isn't working how you need, or you need software that got missed or something like that, we help with that also too. So anything classroom related, we try to be involved in and help out. We'll show you real quick. Megan's been making updates to the website, and so just wanted to show you here. Under the students, if they click on the help desk area, like I said, she's still working on this, so this will be updated more. But just some information to try to help the students if they're in the middle of class and say they don't know how to get logged in or they can't connect to the Wi-Fi and you don't want them to leave class. You can send them here and they can click on this and try to pull up some of the information and do it on their own if they want. Just trying to make it so they have the information available to them as soon as possible instead of having to wait to be able to come over here. So, but we'll show them how to log into Wi-Fi, web printing, installing Office, ordering their emails, things like that. So just wanted to let you guys know that's right on the klamathcc.edu page under the student tab. So you can definitely direct them to that area also.
Bill, do you have an area that addresses challenges students have with MyKCC? Because working with high school students, that's probably the most common. We look at information, make sure, all their accurate information, their email and all of that, but is there like the most common challenges students have with MyKCC and logging in that they can go to and check?
Normally, most of the issues that lately have come up is not being able to get logged in. Normally, that's just because something's not fully set up on the student's account. Bill Jennings made a report that I believe everyone has access to. I'm not 100% sure on that. Does everyone have access to that student report? No? Okay. You can check with us and I can run it and see if there's anything missing on the account to try to tell you. I can't fix those items, but I can tell you, hey, something's missing or not right. But normally it's just getting the initial login. Once you're logged in, there's normally not a lot of issues.
Okay.
So.
So for people that are new, how would they open a support ticket?
Support ticket, you just send an email to support at klamathcc.edu. It'll automatically create a ticket for that. And just type it out as an email and all the information will get there, and then that ticket will get assigned to either myself or someone on the admin team to help with whatever need that might be.
You can also find a buddy, reach out to a neighbor. If your technology's not working, they can send the support teams.
There'll probably be like 24 people come to the computer lab for class, and probably 6 of them just sit there. They don't remember their how to log, they don't know their password. So you have access to get, then it emails them, and they have to get into their email to click the verification, and then they have, 18 other people sitting there. So can I just send those 6 students over to you?
Yep, you can send them to us.
And you have access to their password and all that?
I don't have access to their password now. We cannot see that. And I wouldn't want to because that
So
opens up a whole
who
can.
do I send these students to?
If they don't know their password, you can send them to us. I can get logged in on a computer and we can just do the forgot password.
Okay.
And then they'll have that password go to them right there.
Okay.
So, but yeah, we can definitely help them and then get them right back to your class. Whatever works easiest for you. Or if you got a bunch, you can call us and I can try to send people to your class to help out also. Any other questions?
I got a statement for anybody who downloads software, like my folks have to download software for the classroom. I was having to do it in the classroom. That's really, really frowned upon, like don't do it. If you have to download a lot of students have free software, do it at their site. It pollutes the pool.
Any other questions?
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. So Zach's going to talk about Trio. I just want to remind people we do have that tech boot camp, and they'll be messaging you. They have a calendar of events for students to get some tech on, explore different technologies and resources. You can also buy technologies and resources for students with tech funds. So encourage students to participate in the tech boot camp. Okay, we got Zach to talk about Trio. Hi, Zach.
Hi, everybody. It's great to see you. I'm Zach Jones. I work over in Trio and serve in the director role. I learned yesterday I have the distinct pleasure of having the most slides today. So I'm going to try to get them through as soon as possible, and I'm running a tight 8 minutes here is my plan, all right? So we're going to talk about who, what is Trio. We're going to talk about who is eligible for Trio. We're going to talk about the how, what services do we provide to support our Trio students. And we're going to talk about some program achievements from last year, our family slide albums. We like to see some pictures of students doing some really great things. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the application process, referring students to Trio and how we can partner together to do the work together, because we all want the same thing, students to be successful, to complete. I'm still looking for a Completion Club t-shirt, Bill, at some point. Yeah. Yeah, all right, so let's buckle up. And if you have a question anytime, I've got my eyes going, but my peripheral vision is not the best because I'm wearing contacts today. So I'm looking for BP Jennings to help me out with the questions as well if I don't see your hand. Cool. So here's the team. We have Haley Mentz, who is brand new in her second week, and she's already crushing our Trio orientation process right now, which is the first meeting that a student has after they get admitted into the Trio program. So she's very busy right now. She just drove here 30 hours from Missouri, and she's excited to do the work. So she'll be working with a lot of you in some of that support work, that pre-advising, especially for those of you that are running associated applied science programs and our program leads. And so she's new. Then we have Pam, who's our program assistant. and then a younger version of myself before I had kids, and and then our wonderful math tutor, Candy Morris, who really I think of Candy and Pam and Haley very soon as like the heart and soul of the program. I'm just lucky to work with this wonderful team. And we are located over in Founders Hall, Building 9, in the corner right next to the parking lot that faces South 6th Street. Great. So we're federally funded to serve 140 KCC students, and we have 4 objectives in mind. We want students to get good grades, so we want them to stay in good academic standing. We want them to persist. We want to be able to retain them, all right? We want to graduate them, and then once they've graduated, we want to transfer them to universities. And so really, in effect, we are a transfer program, and that's by design from the federal government. And every service that we provide is in pursuit of those 4 objectives. So how do you qualify? I do not expect you to memorize this list whatsoever. This is more for the edification of what goes behind the scenes when we're thinking about who gets into the TRIO program, because unfortunately we don't have space for everybody. I wish we did, but it's just not possible. But we support first-generation college students, and that means neither of their parents have a 4-year bachelor's degree. We support low-income students, and that means that they have an income from the previous tax year that is 150% or less of the federal poverty threshold that's put out every year. Don't need to memorize those numbers. I got them memorized. That's my job and Pam's job when we run that process. And then if they're working with disability services here, if they're working with Italy, then they can qualify through disability. So they need to know eligibility criteria, plus they need an academic need. And these are examples of all the possible academic needs that we use in order to admit a student into the program, okay? Don't need to memorize those, that's my job, but that's just there for you to see there. What really is important, and I don't expect you to memorize this either, in all cases refer the student to TRIO. You don't need to figure out if they're eligible or if they have academic need. You can always just send them our way, and I'll talk about some ways you can do that at the end. But there are students that are not eligible, and unfortunately I don't have much control over this. But if a student's already completed a bachelor's degree, we're not able to serve them. It rarely happens, but sometimes I've seen that happen at previous institutions. Students with undocumented status, so if they're experiencing undocumented status at this time, we are not able to serve them. We hope to be able to serve those students too, and once I have confirmation, we will definitely share that out, but at this time, we're not able to serve that population. We're not able to work with international students unless they have legal residency for financial aid purposes or U.S. citizenship. And because we are funded to work with degree and certificate seeking students, if the student is only pursuing apprenticeship community education or they're in a casual credit designation and have no intent of pursuing a degree or certificate at KCC, we aren't able to work with those students either. And then, of course, if they don't meet the first-gen low-income or DS criteria or don't have academic need, then we're not able to serve them either. Just a little bit more context about exactly who are we serving here. So about 2/3 of the students, 67% are first-gen low-income. We have 15% of our students that are first-gen only, and then we have 13% of our students that are low-income only, and then 4% are disability or low-income or disability only. And so that comes from our previous year's participants, the 140 students we served during 2022-2023. Right. In terms of gender, roughly 2/3 of our students identify as female and 1/3 identify as male. And then in terms of ethnicity, the breakdown, just a little bit over half of our students, 57% identify as white, with the second group there, 22% Hispanic or Latinx, and then 11% identify as American Indian or Alaskan Native. And I think that's a really unique attribute of KCC. At the TRIO programs in Oregon, we have the highest percentage of students who identify as American Indian or Alaskan Native. And then we have a percentage that 5% or more than one race reported, 2% identify as Black or African American, and 1%, actually one student, identifies as Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander. That's from last year's data. And then in terms of age, skewing non-traditional is a very classic thing that we see in TRIO programs, and so the weighted average age is 30 for our students right now. So in terms of services, what do? What's the how? So we provide academic, career, and financial support, and that can look like academic advising, career planning, supporting them with scholarship applications, and filling out the FAFSA, working with y'all to make sure that our students are getting the expert guidance from those of you that are running that our program leads, all right? And so we're making sure that we're getting them into your office. Sometimes we do co-advising, so I'll sit down with Linda, and I'll sit down with one of Linda's students who's also in TRIO, and then I learn a lot about business through that process. That student gets the expert guidance that we're all looking for. And so that's part of our model. So you get a lot of emails from us, and you've probably noticed if you've been here a couple of years, that's been part of our change this last year, is always making sure if we are supporting a student, you have to know what's going on, and we try to do that. We're not perfect, all right, but we're trying our best to make sure you're informed, that we're getting our students, who are your students, into your offices, all right? In terms of that, part of our advising model is we see our students as students, and then they're moving to become professionals, and they're going to be graduates and move on from KCC and do amazing things. And so a lot of the work that we do is around identity formation. All right, and I'll show some examples of that in a second. We do community building as well. We'll talk about that in a couple more slides. We have holistic and a proactive advising model, and really this is focused on helping our students set short-term goals, term after term. And we see through that process of like a wheel, they set a goal, they accomplish the goal, they move on. Those steps produce a student who builds a beautiful house into a brick house that at the end is graduating from KCC. And I just think that's wonderful. And so we work with our students for many, many years. Again, I have a student that has been working in TRIO for 5 years. And so sometimes we can build that relationship over quite a long period of time. We support through tutoring and then referral to tutoring services. All right, and so we do have Candy who provides math tutoring. We also support through study groups and working with especially our colleagues in the math department to make sure that the groups that we're running the tutoring is in line with what the math department needs in terms of that supplementary support. And in addition to that, we offer peer mentoring opportunities and hire peer mentors in our program to provide that aspect. Because I've never taken a class at KCC, never walked a shoe in the way a student has, and so having that peer mentorship is so important. Just briefly, some of our, that doesn't show up really well. It shows up great on my computer. That says 22-23 program achievements. That's a couple of students having a great time at OIT. All right, so community engagement, we hosted and in collaboration with Student Life and ASKCC, their first ever first generation student celebration, and that was last November. This year, we're coming back for year 2, better than ever, and we hope to see you all there during the week of festivities that will happen during November. There will be more to share out there. Last year, with support from VP Jennings, we supported a new class here at KCC CGS 115 scholarship applications and financial literacy during winter term. One of the successes from this first class is we had 2 students receive the Ford Family Foundation Scholarship, which is a very prestigious award. And so we will be running that class again this coming winter, and really excited about that opportunity. Student success TRIO honors. Half of our students received academic honors in either fall or winter terms last year, so that's about 70 students. And so we hosted an awards ceremony to support their excellence. Many of our students come from backgrounds where they have not been celebrated before, and so an event like this is extremely meaningful. We had student speakers, you can see there in the photos who shared their stories, because we value story in TRIO, and seeing our students be vulnerable and share their stories this is extremely powerful. So we hope to host that again in spring. We will host it in spring this next year. And then graduation, we had during the program here this last year, we had 23 students graduate from KCC out of our 140. We celebrated them and their families at our special TRIO graduation that happened before commencement during that final week of the academic term in June. And that was a wonderful event, and we will be doing that again this year as a part of the traditions that we're setting. With Dr. Gutierrez's approval, we were able to get TRIO stoles now, so that's something that they get. They also get a coin that's commemorative that has KCC logo on one side, TRIO logo on the other side. That's just a memento to their time. In terms of the application process, our application is all online now. If you have a student who is experiencing some challenges on the computer literacy side, that's okay. We still have a paper application that's in our office. But generally, we haven't had too many students have issues with filling out the online application, especially if they stop by our office. We have staff there ready to support them with filling it out. But for referring, you can just have the student fill out the application. It's on our website. klncc.edu/trio. Once we have their application, we confirm they're eligible, they interview for the program. It's not a job interview, it is a, we want to get to know you and how we can best support you type of interview. Once an admissions decision has been made by me, they get contacted by their KCC email, and then if admitted, they're assigned to a trio advisor to begin doing the work. My favorite slide is collaborating with y'all, all right? So referring to students, especially right now, is critical. We have just a little under 30 spots left in this year's cohort, so the spots are filling up fast. So we hope that you'll send some students our way, especially early, because then we can be proactive rather than reactive in supporting them and their success at KCC. We hosted a weekly workshop series. I swear Josh got KCC talks from our trio talks because we were totally doing those in fall before we do these KCC talks. But no worries, we do have a weekly workshop series. If you have something you're passionate about that you think our students should know, come talk to me. I would love to have you guest present at one of our weekly talks. We have lunch and the students are highly engaged in that. If you have a professional development opportunity, and really anything, like come talk to us. When faculty are engaged in the work and students see that, and faculty are being passionate about their respective discipline, I want to get students involved in that. So whatever you need. If there are retention initiatives, something you're working on with your program that I can support you with, or Trio can, we're here to help you with that. If you have other ideas, come stop by my office over in Building 9 or send me an email. I'm here to support you. And if you have any questions, I'll take those right now, but thank you for your time.
I might have been spacing. There are room now for students in Trio. So how many spaces do you have open?
We have roughly about 30 right now. We have been working all summer long on interviewing students for the program. I wouldn't worry too much about space. I will send out an email when we are full, but I will always take a referral and I will never turn away a student if you refer them to me. I will find a way to work with them. I have ways sneakily, not sneakily, KCC pays a portion of my time and effort so I can work with them off the clock if I'm not able to serve them. So there are ways. So, don't worry about whether we're full or not, always send the referral. Sometimes, especially if it's later in the program year, I may not have a spot now in my current program cohort, but I may have one starting as soon as like June, right? That students exit from the program through ideally graduation. Yeah. Great question, Mary Lou.
Thank you. Okay, we are rolling right into financial aid with Amanda Vargas.
Good morning. All right. I'll be quick. Okay. So this is just a few things that we do in financial aid. So we start off with the FAFSA. So it's not starting off our normal time this year. It is not starting off in October. It's starting off in December this year. We're not sure what date this year. It's just as long as it starts before January 1st. As soon as we know, you'll know. But we also help students with the ORSA, so those that don't qualify for federal aid, we help them apply for the ORSA. We also help students apply for the Oregon Promise, those that are newly graduated from the GED program or their high school program. Also scholarships, so foundation scholarships as well as other scholarships. I get scholarships every day, like the Ford Scholarship. So the scholarship recipient that Zach helped out, I am now helping out. I am closely communicating with the Ford Scholarship Corporation and helping them get as much as we possibly can. I also do the SAP appeals, so this is where you're going to hear early alerts again. So it is important that you submit early alerts the first week of term for financial aid purposes. So if you do something that establishes attendance for your students, like a syllabus quiz, it's important that you put those grades in, because once those early alerts are put in, like if the student does not do their syllabus quiz, then the front desk will find out, then financial aid will find out, and if the student didn't do it, they will not get their financial aid that second week of term. Because second week of term is when financial aid will process the financial aid disbursement for the third Tuesday after the start of the term. That is when first disbursement happens. So it is up to you guys to do early alerts as soon as you can. So early alerts is a really big deal all over campus. As much as you think it isn't, it really is. Also, max time frame appeals. So if a student stops going to school, keeps coming back, stops going, keeps coming back, if they keep failing out, they have 150% of financial aid that they can take for a 90 credit degree. So I also processed those appeals as well. So a student can only have so much financial aid for that 90 credit degree. And also second degree appeals. So if a student wants to come back and get another degree with us, they also have to do a second degree appeal. So I process those, and then I send them over to VP Jennings, and so for her to accept or decline. And then also entrance counseling and exit counseling for students that want to get loans. And then if students get loans and then they want to graduate, for them to get their diplomas, they have to do another counseling with their loans. And then this is our contact information. We also have adjusted office hours Mondays and Wednesdays due to reporting on Mondays, and we do disbursements every Wednesday. So we have adjusted hours. And this is our contact information for all of us over in the financial aid office. Does anybody have any questions for me? Yes.
I just want to share with the group something I learned from you last year. And I've been in higher ed since 2012 and did not know. So our nursing students, once they graduate, have application they submit to the Board of Nursing, which costs a lot. And then they have a testing fee and fingerprinting fee, and it happens after they graduate. And I was not aware that financial aid can provide some funding for that until one of the students happened to mention to Amanda that they had this expenditure that they didn't know how they were going to make. And so Amanda and I were able to work together to put that amount into their course fees. So if you have students who are taking the RHIT or maybe ASE exams or those sorts of things that are going to cost them some money right after they graduate, that is something that can be covered by financial aid.
Yeah, so if you have students that have some kind of test that costs some huge amount or something like that, that is in direct line with their degree, if they cannot get their certification or their degree or something without this test or without these supplies, you can let financial aid know and we can adjust their cost of attendance. And so their cost of attendance starts here, and then once we find out what like additional supplies they need, additional like if they need scrubs or whatever, then we will start adding those on, like aviation. Their additional fees and everything goes all the way up here. So they can fit those additional third-party loans and everything into their account. So without those fees and everything that we know of, we can't fit those extra funds into those students' accounts. Any other questions? You guys are light on me.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to go to Cassandra Hedrick. She's going to talk about student life food pantry.
You see a lot of familiar faces, but for those of you that don't know me, I am Cassandra, I'm the Student Life Coordinator. I just want to briefly go over some of the services that our office has. The primary one is gonna be the food pantry. So that one's gotten really big over the last few years, especially post-COVID with a lot of the cost of living rising. So we just wanna make sure that you guys are all aware that this is available for all students, credit, and ed. If a student has a student ID number, they can request a food pantry bag. And there are no qualifications. So I'm not gonna sit there and ask them, hey, like, you know, how many people do you have in your house? What's the income? Any of that. The form will ask how many people they have in their house, but only for the purpose of making sure that we're portioning out for enough for the family. And I'm gonna show you guys just really briefly here how to find that, the easiest way that students can find this form so that you guys are able to direct them if that's ever needed. A lot of the time, I am more than happy to help them walk through that form. If you guys just don't have the time or aren't super savvy on doing that, but just so that you guys know where to find this, I will show you guys. So we just go to our main page, and I just use the search function. There is a longer way to it, but the search function's there, why not use it? So you type in the food pantry, very first option, and then this right here with the big bold letters, that is a hyperlink, and it'll take them directly to the form. And I don't know how many of you guys have seen this before. If not, I definitely encourage you guys to check it out and kind of see what that form looks like. And as you'll see, there isn't a lot of personal questions on there. So student ID, that's how they check the bag out. So I know who to give what bag to. And then their phone number, usually that's not something we use very often. A lot of the times we will notify them via email. But usually if they need something like this, they're pretty quick about, like, they show up the same day to pick these things up. So not frequently do they have to actually put those requests in and wait for the email to come back. Let's get back over here. Oh no, I restarted it.
So we get those out.
So the other thing that we have in our office is the lending library. So the lending library, we have just a small collection of books, textbooks for more of the general classes that you guys offer here. And we try to always add books every year, every term, so that we have more to offer. When the program is really specialized, we may not have the books, but sometimes we try, if we get enough requests of those and budgeting allows, we try to add new books every term. So if you ever have a student that says, hey, like, my financial aid wasn't enough, like I just can't afford it right now, whatever the case may be for them, please feel free to always send them to our office located in Building 4, and we will see if we have that book for them so that they can just borrow it. We just always ask them, hey, when you're done with it, just make sure that it comes back to our office so that we can loan it out to another student. And in our office, we also have study stations. So we don't have quite as many computers as other places do, but we do have 4 computer stations that are available for students during 8 to 5 hours when our office is open so that they can come in and study. And oftentimes you'll find our student body government officers and our student life mentors in there, and a lot of them are always willing to help. So if it's a class that they've already taken and somebody's just needing a couple of pointers in any direction for any subject, if they feel confident, we allow them to help the student, just be like, hey, like, you know, what part are you stuck on? A lot of them are more than willing to help students. So if they ever just need a quiet place to study, our office tends to be pretty quiet during the day so that they can get some work done. And then the other thing is grab and go snacks. And this kind of just goes back to providing some of the things that they might need. A lot of students tend to be struggling with, you know, financial needs just for whatever reason it might be. So we try to keep those snacks there in the office just in case they ever need anything to get them until their next class. Just because we know that we're kind of a little bit further this way from town, and sometimes the timing can just be a little bit awkward. So if you ever see a student that's just not feeling the greatest, feel free to send them over. There's always our students, our student life mentors, student body government officers. They're always willing to talk and help someone, whatever the case may be, whether it be like directing them to another resource that you guys heard about today, or just helping them out with some homework that day. Does anyone have any questions?
So you have fresh food, right?
So we do not have a on-hand stock of fresh food. However, we have just picked up a partnership up again with the food bank, and we will be doing the produce connection. So that is the 4th Thursday of every month. And we have done really well and ran out of food pretty early, the last one we did. So I am actually going to be looking into upping that to twice a month so that we make sure that we're getting everyone as many, batches of produce before the season ends. There are some other stuff in the works to hopefully bring a more consistent study or flow of those products, but they're not finalized. But as soon as they are, I will make sure that an email goes out campus-wide. And then just as a heads up, that's a very good reminder, thank you. We are working on integrating the food pantry form into my KCC portal. So hopefully soon and during this academic year, you guys will be able to automatically just show them to my KCC and the form will be there. And that is a little bit different and it'll be nicer just because oftentimes students, especially the newer students, they're not particularly good at remembering the student ID. And that'll autofill it for them. As long as they can log in, it'll autofill it for them. So just when those changes come out, just as a heads up, I will send out a whole email with the whole spiel about how the form is different in case students ever need pointers on filling out the new form. It'll be really similar, just look a little bit different visually. Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So I imagine you take donations to the food pantry.
We absolutely do.
And what are your biggest needs?
So one of the biggest needs is protein items. So the protein items, those tend to fly on the shelves pretty quickly. We try to give well-rounded bags, so proteins, grains, fruits, everything. And the biggest one is going to be hygiene items and protein items. Those are always just consistently going out the door. About as fast as we can restock them, they're going out the door. Our fall food drive will be starting in October, so there will be emails coming out about that soon. And you didn't hear this from me, but Elizabeth is she's already coordinating. I didn't tell you this though, because then she's gonna be mad at me. But you guys should probably start, if you have, a little bit extra that you can set aside and start kind of stockpiling, that would be wonderful. Obviously, just what you're comfortable with giving would be great. Any little bit helps.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now Devin's gonna talk to us about this new first gen grant. You can see how it's similar and different to our TRIO programming. And wanting to get students to apply to this important grant program opportunity, 2-year funded.
So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Devin Horn, the First Year Experience Coordinator. I'll be talking to you guys a little bit about the First Generation Success Grant, and then I'll kind of go over the Tech Bootcamp that Jamie mentioned earlier. So, what is it? It's a grant that allows us to provide support and aid to first-generation low-income and underrepresented students. The purpose of the grant is to also help with retention and enrollment of these students. Why do we need it? As you guys know, we serve a very diverse population of students here on campus, 29% of those being first-generation students, and that's just one of the qualifiers we need for them to fill out the application. They could be low income or underrepresented. They don't have to be all three. We prefer if they were all three, just so that we can help the ones who need it most, but if you guys know anybody, we still have applications open, you can send them in. What do we offer? So this is where the support and aid comes in a little bit. We've got the Summer Bridge program. It's a week-long program. We'll get more into that in the next slide. And then we've got a CGS course series that we're doing. And then also we're providing help paying for their dev ed classes as well as like their coursework books and things like that. So this is kind of just the layout of the program. How do we put it together? Summer Bridge, we have like 25 spots open. At least that's what the grant says. If we can take more, we'd love to. So that'll be next week. We'll be taking them to the math and writing reviews to get them kind of started for fall term. And then we'll also be taking them around to different resources, kind of introducing them to all the help that we provide here. And then we've also got the CGS series. They're all 1-credit courses, 110, 115, and 112. And then we want around 50 students for that one. So these are just kind of the program agendas. The one on my right, yes. The one on my right is the Monday day. Like I said,
big list of like resources. There will be more resources throughout the week. Gonna have just people come in, kind of talk about what they offer to these students so that they know, especially like first gen students who have never had a parent or guardian help them through all of this. They don't really know what we offer here, and they're a little bit scared to ask. So we're gonna have that for them. We'll be doing a big breakfast the last day. Dr. Gutierrez will be giving us some kind words, and we're gonna be doing a bunch of different stuff to kind of help them build this community through this cohort. CGS 110 is kind of just the basics. Since it'll be a series, we don't want to throw everything at them all at once. We're gonna kind of hold their hand through this, make them feel comfortable and supported. And this is just a tentative schedule. We're trying to still work out some kinks on where we can maybe fit some more stuff that will be more helpful to them. Oh, I thought I had the other side. I don't. So for the CGS series, they can either do CGS 100 or move into the series course, and it's just more specifically tailored towards first-gen, low-income, underrepresented students. The next two courses will be a little bit more in-depth to help them become more like financially, academically, and professionally literate. Any questions about the first-gen grant? I went through it pretty quickly. I talk nervous. I just talk fast when I'm nervous.
Well, yeah, thank you so much, Devin. Your guys' work on this is so awesome. I know you and Zach have, and Oscar work really, and probably many others too, but I was wondering, you mentioned like if we know students who might qualify.
Yes.
And so I know right now faculty may or like we may not have met anybody yet, or maybe we will, but are you kind of thinking about staff and trying to get students in ahead of the, like before the first week? Or if we know somebody during the first week, could we still squeeze it in? Like what's your guys' timeline for bringing people into the program?
So yeah, the summer bridge program is happening like next week. So any applications that we can get in this week to push them through. But for the CGS course, we'll keep it open until like the week of, and maybe if we still have spots open, we can bring them in too. They just might miss a little bit, but nothing like super big. And then also, sorry, just trying to take it all in. And then if anybody noticed during summer term, any students that kind of fit that, like I know that not all of you were here for summer term, lucky. If you have noticed that there's a student that, you know, maybe would benefit from this program, definitely send them my way. I've got an email written up with all of like the kind of information that they need to know for this, and then the link straight to the application that they can click on just to get it straight through.
Cool. So just to double check, it's better to send them directly to you and then you'll connect them with the application link and everything like that.
Yes, we're doing calls to like reach out to them and everything, so I've kind of got like the run through of it already up here. So if you want to just send them directly to me, I can give them the information.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
So it's similar in like Trio that they'll have open enrollment till they fill all the slots. And they can already be KCC students, so if they had students in the spring or whatnot, they could qualify. The programming is interesting because it has supports. Mary Lou Logan will be supporting our math and helping students navigate our developmental math system. Maggie Wood has generously volunteered to lead the writing effort and do the navigating students through developmental writing programming. It's a unique 2-year program. We'll talk a little bit more about it during convocation. But you can always refer students and they'll qualify or they won't. The nice opportunity though, like the boot camp is paid for. They get paid to learn. They get a stipend or a scholarship to attend the bridge programming. There's scholarships to pay for their CGS classes, the 100 and the series of 1-credit classes. There's monies to pay for developmental coursework, pay for their My Math Lab, pay for their books. So it's a pretty unique scholarship opportunity targeting first gen is #1 qualification criteria. So please don't hesitate to look first gen students, send them to Deb.
I'm curious if we've identified our GED completers last year that have transitioned into undergraduate as potential?
Yes. So we've had a lot of people from KCC and HEP just recommend their students go straight into us. We've had, I think most of our applications are KCC HEP students. Yes.
Any other questions about this program? Okay.
So if we're gonna send, if we're going to send them to you, where are you?
I'm in building 4, room 407. Yes. Thank you guys. I have one more slide. Okay. So this will be really quick. Tech boot camps. What is it? It's a boot camp about technology, basically. We're teaching students how to navigate the tech needed to be successful in class. Why do we need it? I'm sure all of you as instructors have dealt with at least like 1 or 2 students who don't know how to work a computer at all. Like I said earlier, we have a diverse group of students. Some of them haven't turned on a computer for years. Some of them absolutely hate computers, and others have just never had the opportunity to work with them. So we wanted to provide some times for students to come down, drop in, and just be taught everything that they need to know. We do the basics like how to get into the Wi-Fi, how to get logged into my KCC or Outlook, stuff like that. And then we have a more in-depth Canvas learning, so they can just kind of, if they want to stay, they can. We teach them about different resources like the LRC, EBSCO posts, all that kind of stuff. And then I've got like the dates. These are all the dates we have so far for fall term, but if we see like a large need, we will be doing more dates throughout it, and I can send you guys emails as well. Any questions?
Yeah, do you do this in the winter term and spring term? I get
So-
people that come in through the year and they need this service in, January 4th.
Yes, so we just started it during summer term. That was kind of like our trial run, and now we're doing it for fall term, and we can keep continuously doing it. We just wanted to make sure that we had students coming in for it.
So I'm wondering the schedule, because sometimes it's like week 2 that we identify.
Yes.
Like students don't know how to work Canvas, even though they have a Canvas training. So I hope that your schedule includes sometime in the middle of or toward the first part of terms, in addition to the in-between terms.
Yes.
Because sometimes students think, oh yeah, I totally have it. And then 2 weeks into the term, we're like, no, you don't totally have it.
Yeah.
This is just a quick plug. So it's totally a retention effort for this. We've identified that a lot of students sometimes when they come to student service, they're like, I'm done. I want to withdraw because I don't understand Canvas or I don't understand TutorMe or I didn't know how to get into this. So I think in the summer we spoke about how we can be more proactive. So we built this tech bootcamp, everything from email, everything from printing, everything from Canvas to doing an inbox versus your email versus Canvas, because people say, I check my Canvas and no email comes in there. Right, that's not your email. So really identifying all that stuff. So our goal is that we provide tech bootcamp all year long. We just kind of wrapped it up in the summer because we want our students to show up ready on the first day. So as Kathy Saunders mentioned earlier, they said that they're like, well, I don't remember my login. Well, we actually say, log into my KCC, log into your email, put your signature as a student in your email with your information on there, go on Canvas, send an inbox. So we go from all that Bill Rao talks about the Wi-Fi. Sometimes that's a simple thing why they didn't give up. They're like, I came in on Saturday and I couldn't even get to the Wi-Fi, so I couldn't turn my assignment, and that's it. So we are really proactive about this, but we're also really trying to provide this all year long to relieve some of that stress for you. So if you have a student, we'll give you the dates, and you can say, hey, there's a couple boot camps that are free. Come check them out. We got some cool swag for them. But really, we have a group of people that sits with them. And if we have one person, that's a lucky person, because there's like 5 of us that literally sit with that person, and we take turns on the hot seat and we show them everything that we can. So as the dates keep going and as in between terms or even during the term, if in the first week or second week you're like, oh boy, you don't know what Canvas is, like pull up the calendar, we'll send you guys more updated dates and send them our way. We are usually have them in the library, but really our goal is to help you as an instructor to not have to spend 20 minutes explaining that Outlook is your email and Canvas is your messaging platform. So anything that you see that perhaps you're going, oh, I wish they talked about this, we can send you what we actually talk about, which is a lot of stuff. And if you find something that they're like, oh, that's great, or oh, you're missing this, feel free to give us feedback. But it's totally a retention effort. We don't want students to drop out over something that we can control. So we have Bill Rao, Elizabeth, Devin, Edith, and has helped us, Debbie. that we really are just in Maryville, we just have to a group of people that are like, we want you to be ready on the first day, and your questions is about the content of the class and not what is my KCC, or I don't know my student ID, I didn't know I had an email. We are making sure that they're hands-on training on this. So we will pass out the dates and more dates to be added, and we'll pass out what the outlook of like what we're trying to do with those boot camps. So I encourage you guys to send them. It's a drop-in. You don't have to. Don't email us and be like, "Can this student join?" Just send it. Like, welcome. If it gets packed, that'd be awesome. But don't worry about like making an appointment or anything. Just say, "Hey, it's a drop-in," and go there.
Question.
Yeah.
High school students, is there any possible way we could get one in the afternoon, maybe from 4 to 5, or?
We have a few that we plan on Saturdays that we can promote.
Okay.
But high school students, I mean, we can tailor it a little bit and see, but we can try to figure out something with it.
One other question is, we plan on doing something, in fact, I was talking with Dean Stickles about a counselor resource, having some kind of a meeting for them. I was thinking about having the counselors come to one of these.
Yep.
And if they haven't taken any classes with us, we could have them set up, couldn't we? So that they could go through some of this, set them up.
Hands-on, I don't know what the counselors would have access to, but I mean.
Like if we enrolled them in a Canvas class or something like that.
Perhaps, yeah, we could do that.
All right, just some thoughts. Okay, thank you.
Building for? It's all of the tech bookings will be in the LRC. Yeah, and it's a drop-in, seriously. We schedule for about 2.5 hours, and we sit there for, a good 20 minutes, and no one shows up, and we call it, but people show up, and we've had people show up, and it's been the anxiety and the relief in their face to say, oh, I understand now, and then they show up to your class, and hopefully within a year or so, we can see the results of people being a little more prepared to show up to class. And you're not spending so much time explaining basic things to us that for them maybe they just needed it breaking down a little bit slower.
Yeah, for part of your retention efforts, is this list of dates sent out to the registered students before they start spring?
We send them an email, we put it on Canvas, and then we put it on our social media.
Any questions? You, Devin. Yep, Center for Teaching and Learning. Then we have a closer. Strong message for
All right, so I'm Edith. I think everybody pretty much knows me now because I do meet with all new faculty when they come in. The Center for Teaching and Learning went through a really big change this summer. Rochelle decided she just prefer to teach, which is great for her. And then I have enlisted Sam and Robert to help me in the Center for Teaching and Learning. So they're getting their stuff down, they're figuring it out. They're both really good. I'm very excited to have them on board. So one of the things that we've done at the Center for Teaching and Learning is we have designated instructional designers per dean. So currently Sam is doing general education plus HPE courses. Robert is doing CTE, and I will be doing health sciences, as well as KSET and HAP, because I do help them out as well. You can find us in Building 3, room 350, and drop in anytime. We're glad to see you and all of that good stuff. Our hours are from 7 to 5. I am still debating, and I would love to get some feedback about having the active help desk going like we did during COVID. It doesn't seem like it gets used quite as much, so we'll have to have some feedback from faculty, whether that's a good thing or not. Also, I do want to remind you, if you have issues or you need help with the Center for Teaching and Learning, please put in a support ticket to the CTL support@klamathcc.edu. We don't want your stuff getting lost in our over 100 email, inbox. So what are we and what do we offer? So Debbie is very essential to our department. She is the admin professional there. Every term at the beginning of the term, first week, she calls students who have zero activity in Canvas. So we can run a report, we can find out what students have or have not accessed the course. So she'll reach out to them, hey, by the way, did you know that courses started today? We even have some students going, oh my gosh, I didn't know, I thought it was next week. So she does do that. It's very essential to help with that retention. It kind of triggers the students to like, oh, I better check in. So that's really great. She also goes through every single course and checks the syllabus for content and clarity, making sure it's there, it's available. So please, anytime you have a syllabus, we do have a syllabus link on the left side. Please put your syllabus there, not in the modules. You can put it in both places, but under the syllabus link, it's very important that you put it there because that's the first place the student's going to navigate to look for their syllabus. And having to find them outside of that syllabus link does cause students confusion and frustration. So we're trying to reduce that. We are also standardizing the course shells. So you may be seeing like some templates showing up in your course shells. Please just delete them if they do show up. It's a module. It might just say, agenda and template and stuff like that. You can delete those. Those are just, we're just testing some things out this summer and that was one of the things, but we are trying to standardize the course shell itself, where the links on the left side are all the same so that students know exactly where to go. It doesn't matter which course they're in, they know these are the links that are going to be available. You can add and remove links, but please try to keep the first 5 where they are. I think it's like modules, syllabus, announcements, and grades, I think are like the first 5. So please don't change those, but the other ones you can add and remove too. That helps also with accessibility and equity because each student is now able to see the same thing and they have the same experience. So it's really important. Equity is not just about being equal, it's about giving them equal access. So working with student services and Oscar and Devin and Cassandra and all the digital boot camp people, I have revamped the Canvas introduction course to include digital literacy for students. So they'll have both Canvas and digital literacy, how to act online, whether it's at KCC or online in general, how to prevent cyber attacks, how to recognize phishing emails, as well as how to use Canvas and those guides as well. And we're also doing the digital literacy at Klamath Community College, where to find your resources, what resources are available, how to contact the technology help desk, how to behave online, how to use our computers even. So that information is there. Anybody can access the course. It is open to the public because we just want to make sure that we have that information out there to anybody who needs that information. And as Devin mentioned, and Oscar, that we are helping with the digital literacy boot camp with the students as well. So we're there to help them with Canvas questions, how to access their courses, anything that they need to know Canvas. We're also trying to expand ourselves, the Center for Teaching and Learning as a whole, to help students. We are primarily focused on faculty, just so that you all know you're still very important and dear to our hearts, but we want to also expand to students to give them the opportunity. They don't always want to call Canvas because they, the company Canvas, because they don't really understand the inner workings of KCC. So them being able to come to us is really awesome, and we're able to help them pretty immediately. And I can help also with helping them getting signed in, or our team can with getting them signed in, and any kind of campus technology or classroom technology. We are integrating gamification into campus. So we have some new tools available to us. Rochelle was helping, or Sam was helping Rochelle. She had started an escape room assignment for one of the courses. And so I'm kind of excited to see how it is. I saw it kind of in works, but Sam's been working on that. So know that we have some kind of ideas like that. We also are doing like interactive lessons so that you can do knowledge checks throughout the lessons and, kind of gauge where the students are at. And we're introducing virtual reality in the classroom. Denise Russell actually will be using that in her class. It's called Body Swaps. It's a kind of diverse program where her students are going to be able to engage with what would you call it? An avatar, another avatar that's programmed in, and they can change the color of their skin. They can change, disabilities, that type of stuff, so that they can engage with people who are from diverse backgrounds. And it's all virtual. We have the goggles. Anybody want to come stop by the CTL, please do if you want to check it out. It's really kind of interesting. I sent Denise on a spacewalk from the International Space Station. Very, very cool technology, and I hope to see it become more of a thing. There's an AMP program that can help students. I know that's a big struggle here. So there's a program that they can actually engage with models of the body. So again, come on back. And of course, we're the first point of contact for Canvas, so please make sure you contact us for that. And we have a student how-to channel on YouTube. Of course, I have a faculty one as well, but we've been trying to get a little bit more stuff for students. Again, for that digital literacy, that's very important at KCC. And we also have feedback tools for students to discover where they're at right now. So if you're interested, I do have an anonymous survey where you can put it into your course, and it just basically asks the students, where do you think you are today? You could do it weekly, you could do it bi-weekly. How are you feeling? Are you feeling like you're ahead of class, behind class, feeling good, not feeling good, too much homework, not enough homework, that kind of stuff. So that's available. And also MAP survey. MAP survey happens every midterm of every term. I send the report to our deans and to VP Jennings on just, again, it's another type of gauge. What kind of services are they needing? What kind of services have they used? Where are they at again? How do they feel about where they're at? Do they need additional help? And then we can help them get those resources. And that's pretty much it for the Center for Teaching and Learning. Do know we're here to support you. We're pretty well versed in pedagogy, andragogy, pedagogies, and Bloom's taxonomy and outcomes and assessments and all of those good things. So come find us. Hopefully, no questions, I'm sure, but I'm open for questions. So, alrighty, now you got it.
Talk about benefits navigating. Now, I was surprised they put him last, but it makes sense to me now.
Yeah.
It's like we talk about all these different resources, but there's one expert that knows how to navigate them all. And he's in front of us today to share his role and responsibilities and answer questions. But when in doubt, you want to refer to our benefits navigator. They know how to navigate the system.
Well, I hope you guys are doing well. So what I'd like to talk to you about today is identifying students that are going to be needing a lot of different resources here in the community and internal resources. We need to identify that most of our students are Pell eligible, and most of these students, our demographics are really broad. We're not just seeing students that are college age from 18 to 21 years old. We're getting older students. We're getting a lot of students with different needs. We're getting students that are quite unique, that aren't really thinking of the basic needs, but I'd like you to see me as that. As a basic needs hub, I'm going to connect students to food insecurity, housing stability, or whether they need a rent assistance, utility assistance, if we need to connect them with SNAP, if I'm becoming OHP assister. I'm currently in the process of that. It takes about 2 to 3 months. Just finished my first month with that, so hopefully by the end of this term I'll be an OHP assister and I can help students actually apply. And the reason I wanted to do that is because I will know where they are in the process when they're applying for OHP, as opposed to if I refer them to someone in the community, I really don't know where they are along that process. Learning about local and state and federal benefits, connecting them with FAFSA, connecting them with internal resources. And this isn't only for students. I'd like to offer my services for you as well. If there's any child care services that you need, if there's any resources that you would like to know about in the community, please come to me. Referring students to me, send me an email with them. I'd like to have a chance to speak in front of your classes. That way students recognize my face, recognize where I am. I'm in building 4. As of now, I'm in building in Founders Hall temporarily until November 1st. I will be back building 4 in November. If you would like to use your my resources or your resources that you have available for you, please reach out. Students just send out an email, give me a call saying you have a student that you believe that they would need assistance, and I can connect with them and just take an intake form. I'm currently building a new form online. The form that's currently on the website, I really don't like it. It's really basic. It has a name, email, and phone number. Most students don't put their last name, don't put their number, and it's really hard for me to reach out. Most students aren't going to look at their email as consistently as we would like. And another thing I'd like to talk about is, as faculty, as a former students, you understand that you tell your faculty and your teachers everything. So not only being able to submit the early alert report, but if you feel as if a student is in dire need of assistance, please don't be afraid to send them my way. That way we can help out. The sooner the better, as Oscar said. The earlier we get students, the easier it'll be for us to help them out and handle the situation instead of waiting for them to be really late on the term and having them be stressed. So there's really a lot of resources here in the community that can help out. The two things I did want to talk about moving forward is I do provide financial support, connecting them towards resources in the community. But there's 2 scholarships. I have had a few students come in directly to me asking me for direct financial support. I can't give them cash. I can't give them scholarships. So I do have a few scholarships for them to apply to. That's not only just financial aid, but the Educational Access and Opportunity Scholarship is for non-degree seeking students. It's for students in GED, ESL classes, or community education, and it's up to $500. I also have been telling a lot of students that, it takes time. It really takes time to apply to a lot of scholarships. So if you have the opportunity to tell your students to get on websites and spend hours on applying for scholarships, it works out. It's beneficial. It's boring, yes. It's tough to write the essays, and it's long, but it's worth it in the end. My senior year, I applied for 200 scholarships, and I received about 30 of them. It was really time consuming. I hated my life for it, but it worked out in the end. But this is a great opportunity for students that are non-degree seeking, and for students that are degree seeking, I'd like to talk about the Student Emergency Grant, and it's up to $250. This is where if they need their back on rent, if they need to pay tuition, if they need books, anything that's going to help them in that time, this would be a great application. And with this application, you do need a letter of recommendation. It could come from either any of you, staff, or myself. If you send the student to my way, I'm more than happy to write the letter of recommendation for the students. I've done about 5. The thing with this grant though, there is a limited amount of funds per month. Depending on how much funds they have, they will run out, and that's when I will offer students to start looking for other opportunities. And then for non-degree seeking students, Klamath Work and WorkSource are great opportunities because they offer scholarships sometimes. It just depends on their funds as well. And yeah, if you guys have anything you need, do you have any students that need assistance or you think they need my help, just send them my way. And then PC support, hotspot, I'd like you to send them my way, refer them, because if they need computer and they need Wi-Fi, they're most likely going to need something else. Okay, thank you. I do. And gas cards, I've been limiting them to students that travel from far away. So Spring River, Chiloquin, and a lot of the times they'll express the need for gas cards. I will order, re-up, depending on how many I have per month. Right now I have about 5 or 6 left, so I'm planning on reordering some more, but just keep that in mind as well. And then I am looking to purchase grocery cards, if that's a thing, but Food Pantry, the Student Life does a great job with providing food for students that need that. Yes?
I love having Alana in my face-to-face classes to talk about the resources, but so many of our students are online. Is it possible to create a super short video that we could just embed in our online courses?
Yeah, of course, I can do that.
Sorry, Lalo, I know that's what you go by, but on the website and in our address book, that's not what your first name is, so
Is that Eduardo?
they won't find you as Lalo in the system,
Okay.
sorry. I just
It's a-
thought they should.
Yeah, Eduardo in the system, it's the government name, but it's easier for everyone to say Lalo.
I just thought I'd tell you.
I do want to add to that, there's 2 Eduardos on the system, so just be aware of his last name as well.
Yeah, the other one is Ruiz Ambaraza, so no difference.
Any other questions? Otherwise, thank you. I know we're at the end of our time, but I thought it was really important to raise our awareness about these wraparound services. Don't hesitate to contact these folks and have them participate in your classes. Send students their way. Have a wonderful week. Be seated.